Hi guys, so in this video I'll be working on the same model I've been working on in three.js for a while, but this time I'll be bringing a character. Just as you can see, the character is walking on the scene, and later on I'll be duplicating this and then bringing in more characters. So back to the code. You can read through the documentation. So we don't have exact stuff we want here. It's an animation action. So that will be on the manual in introduction animation system. I'll just copy all this. Let mesh. I'll just copy from let mesh. Copy that. Minimize. Go into insert and probably place it on after this. Paste. So it's going to crash system expectedly. So that's the let mesh, but then we're going to bring in the mesh. So for that, we're going to go into what we've done with the GLTF. I was think to need to bring in the GLTF here, the value of the mesh. So we'll search for that's line. This is line 494. Search for GLTF wherever we used it. So let's try to hold and control that, and then I'll just push it up a bit more, and I'll just copy that. And we're going to Control G 494. Come back here. So instead of the mesh, I'll just paste that. And we're going to pull a model. Rather than using a list of models, I'll just bring these over to the left. And I'll need to get the model at this point. The model needs to go in here. So I'll need to probably upload a model to our location here. Models folder. I'll just create a new folder. Let's say animated character. Now I'll go over to Mixamo and download a character. Mixamo is free to use. In the meantime, I have this scene running, looping here. Whenever I make changes, it's just looping. Just drag that to the side. First, I'll go to characters, pick a character. Been working with this little girl character. I'll probably use the same character. And I'll then go into animations. I'll choose any interesting animation. It could be walking. Just try the walking animation. Walking. Oh, look at good walking. That looks like good. This looks all right. So I could download this with skin and the animation as well. Download. Now, interestingly, it's going to download this as FBX. I'll need to probably export it into GLTF. So I'll just go back and try let's see, try that. That's like Threejs, but it's still probably reliable. So it's been used to load the character here, and with the mesh, the object is what we need at this point. So I'll probably just copy this. Let's see whether we can use this instead of the GLTF, since we have a GLTF file instead. I'll just remove this basically and paste that there. And Let's have that into position. Now, let's see whether we have the GLTF loaded there. GLTF loader, cancel. Let's see whether we have the GLTF loaded in this file. All right, we have the FBX loader. We have the FBX loader. That's fine. So let's continue, and we're going to have to move the file into this location. So let's go into our downloads folder. Let's got this file, and we're just going to move it into animated character, walking FBX. Doesn't open. Go back into our file, and let's see. So I'm going to click on 3 there. So let's go. So it goes on the 3 there. But then we need to go into the models folder. So let's see how we've accessed the other models as well. GLTF, and we've accessed the other models. So where do we create this list of objects? We've done that here. And we've done .models/architecture. So let's do this as well. We're going to say /models/ I'll be walking anyway. But / animated character / walking. So we have /models/ animated character / walking.fbx, and then we'll need to probably put this in a different function. We could call it animate character, and then we'll put in the mesh. So the mesh will go in here, mesh, and we will need to remove this mesh from here and bring that to that level. And then let's go back and check this out. So we have our, so we could just comment out this guy. So there before, comment out, comment that out as well. So we should be using GLTF, but because we're using Mixamo, we could probably convert from FBX to GLTF using Blender or something. But in this case, we're using Blender file that's just downloaded straight from Mixamo. We're using the FBX file that's just downloaded from Mixamo. So animate, let's correct that spelling there. T, animate character. I'm just going to copy that and come in here, and rather than going through this, I'll just delete. Well, I'll leave that. Maybe you need to scale it. I'll just paste that there, and I'll just pass in objects. Well, we'll need to change the controller to object controls rather than first person controls. I'm going to delete the camera walkthrough. We're currently on camera walkthrough. I'm just going to enable object control so we can actually search the scene for the character. So that's what it looks like. It hasn't broken the code, so I'm a bit surprised it hasn't broken code. I'm just going to go into delete developer mode, clear the console. Let's see whether, let's see if we can actually view it. So that's what it looks like using object controls. Well, I guess before we look for the character, let's make sure that the code is running. So we haven't called this from the main function. That's one thing. So I can just come to the main function and do something like this dot. And I can look through a list of code functions there. Insert animated character and tap into to accept that, and then we'll look at this and see it doesn't crash the code, which is fantastic. So as it loaded, that's a question. So let's sort of try to debug through this, and let's sort of console log loaded. and tap edit mode and sort of comment this out for the meantime. Let's not break the code. Let's make sure we get to this point at all in the first place. Then go to the page, web page, go into the developer view and go to console and clear the console. So let's run it again and see whether we're printing out loaded. So that means it gets loaded and that shows loaded. That means the mesh is loaded. I'm going to then uncomment this. The other bit has to do with the, sorry, missed out that. So the other bit has to do with the animate character. So let's look at this. Have we imported this? Let's look for animation mixer. Yeah, it's imported. Great. And we look at animations. Let's print out what is in the clips variable and go back to the scene and it's loaded. So character is not difficult. Animate character is not defined. That means the function is not defined. So I'm going to wonder why that is, because it's part of the class, but then it's not an object within this class. So I could make this static. It's referring to this from within here. So it uses this object which doesn't have that function. It needs to refer to external object. So I need to put exhibition builder. Since I've now made it static, and then let's go back to the page again. And I can't read properties of no. So now it prints out the animation clips. So we have two animation clips in there. So we'll come and take 001. But I guess before we look for a character, let's make sure that the code is running. So we haven't called this from the main function. That's one thing. So I can just come to the main function and do some like this dot. And I can look through a list of code functions there. Insert animated character and tap into to accept that, and then we'll look at this and see it doesn't crash the code, that which is fantastic. So as it loaded, that's a question. So let's sort of try to debug through this, and let's sort of console log loaded and tap edit mode and sort of comment this out for the meantime. Let's not break the code. Let's make sure we get to this point at all in the first place. Then go to the page, web page, go into the developer view and go to console and clear the console. So let's run it again and see whether we're printing out loaded. So just loaded. I'm going to then uncomment this. The other bit has to do with the, sorry, missed out that. So the other bit has to do with the animate character. So let's look at this. Have we imported this? Let's look for animation mixer. Yeah, it's imported. Great. And we look at animations. Let's print out what is in the clips variable and go back to the scene and it's loaded. So character is not difficult. Animate character is not defined. That means the function is not defined. So I'm going to wonder why that is, because it's part of the class, but then it's not an object within this class. So I could make this static. It's referring to this from within here. So it uses this object which doesn't have that function. It needs to refer to external object. So I need to put exhibition builder. Since I've now made it static, and then let's go back to the page again, and I can't read properties of no. So now it prints out the animation clips. So we have two animation clips in there. So we'll come and take 001. And then the next thing it does is the canary properties are null, play. So let's go back to the code and see why that is. So it's now able to call the function, and we have a function update. So what we need to do is this function is to call from external to this. So we need to make this a static variable as well. We need to copy this and put that in there and put dot, and we'll need to put dot here as well. But then we need to move this out of here and go to our animate function, which we'll call frequently. And animate, we could go do this in animate and just paste it here and pass in the delta, which is the clock that runs consistently. So I'm going to go back into the insert animated character and back to the animate character function. And then we'll see find by name clips dance. We need to rename that, and then so let's go back into the browser view, and hopefully this shouldn't throw that exception anymore. So it still does that. It's undefined reading update. So I've removed that, so it should be fine now. Animate character mixer is not defined on the number 538. 538. So we need to do the same thing here. Copy, paste, dot mixer, and copy, paste, dot mixer, and space. Take space 001. And then let's go back into the browser. So it gets to load that, reads the animations, and then it seems to be played. So you probably want to, but then before we do that, let's see what the other bug is all about. We're going to clear the console, reload. It does that before the animation starts. So we're just going to say if it's not equal to null, undefined, then we're going to run this. So we're going to, because we'll monitor this to be sure that it's running, but I think we should be fine. So if we go back to the page, we should not have any more errors. Now that's why I don't want to remove the size, the scale. It's taking a while to load, I think. Yeah, so the character is quite huge as well. And what we want to do is probably reduce the size. I'm not sure why the animation ain't running at this moment, because it's supposed to play that clip, really. But I'm going to go back to here and I'll comment this, and then that should reduce the size of the character this time. But let's see how far it's reduced the size. We're not sure exactly where she is at this moment. We do want to, yeah, okay, there she is. I wonder if we want to make the character stand, make her stand in front of the house at some point. So probably position her right in front of the door here. But it seems as if that's too small. We're going to change this to, say 7, 7, and 7. And let's see what that looks like. It's fascinating that all the materials seem to have copied over from, yeah, so she seems a bit too tall there. We're going to change this to 4, 4, and 4. Let's see what she looks like now. Does she look a bit too tall still? Yeah, now she looks all right. She looks quite all right in that scene. So I think what we want to do next. This seems like currently I'm not sure why she's a bit stretched of some sort. I think maybe it's because of scaling. Let's see whether so let's look at the axis of the scaling. So that will be let's move back. That will be Z axis. So she seems to be scaled a bit more on the XZ axis. So we probably want to reduce Z axis to 3. Or let's make it 2. Let's actually see how much impact it has on the model. So we'll go back in there and check what she looks like now. Yeah, she looks a bit better, but I'm going to, so definitely that's small, too small. So I'm just going to make that 3. Let's see what it looks like. I'll move closer in now. Yeah, so that looks a bit better. So you can as well make these changes just to make sure that you have the right character in place. There's still definitely a few bits I want to do. It's a bit too tall. I'm still going to sort of reduce this to now there's a problem. So how do we sort of reduce this values? So we could find out a multiplier that we can use for this. We could multiply this by 0. Say 8 and do the same thing for all three rather than changing those base values. So we're still going to stick with the base values, but we're going to now multiply them by a fraction just to sort of reduce the size a bit. And then when I come back here, so what I could do actually is to move out to the front and see. So we could say object dot position, the position dot set, and we could probably let's do so let's go into the scene and see where she is currently. Okay, so because we haven't set values for that, so we just go put let's put 20 for the x, 20 for the uh, so let's put a 0 for the y and 20 for the z. Let's see what that looks like. I would have expected her to be outside. Yeah, she is outside, definitely. So we could, since that's the X, we could reduce on the X a bit. I'm going to sort some of the spotlights here. It's a bit darker. And yeah, but she still has a materials showing through, which is fine. So we could increase the directional light by an extra value of say 4. It should be fine. Now we could reduce, so if you go back to insert character, we could reposition now the x-axis to something about 15. When we do that, she should be closer to the door. Yep, yeah, and she is closer to the door. Yeah, so now we have a character imported into the scene. So let's go back to, let's see, animate object. So let's sort of cut this out. After it's added to the scene, then we can probably run the animation and see whether that makes the animation run. And then we'll see, let's go back to, let's comment this, clips, and I'll comment that. And then, so let's see, action. Let's see what the action object looks like. Yeah, so we have animations running eventually. We have so walking across the scene, which is nice. So I'm wondering, let's see, we saw printed in the action point. Let's see. what it's giving us F12 now. So translate parse code for external data. Let's so clear that out, and that will probably happen when we reload the page and it's loaded 100%, and that's the action bit. That's what brings it up. And she's standing there. So we have clips, we have console, and then go back to the page and let's see, and print an array of clips. So mixamo.com take 001, but let's then print out all the clips. Let's see. So we have clips, we have console, clips, and then go back to the page and let's see, and print an array of clips. So mixamo.com take 001.com and see what that looks like. And then probably close this. Yeah, so I think the take 001 was simply the T pose really. So now we didn't really have to play all the animations. You just have to select the right animation to animate the scene. So we could probably duplicate this character across the scene using JavaScript code. But fortunately, right now we're having a character walk through our scene with all the expected materials and stuff simply from Mixamo. In the next video, we'll try to capitalize on this and bring in more characters, bring in more interaction within the scene. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Bye.